this time in our morning show. Thank you so much for being here with us as we continue our conversations regarding the budget read earlier this week by Finance Minister Colm Imbert. We take a trip across to Tobago. Of course, it's Tobago Thursdays, and we're going to put the Chamber of Commerce in Tobago and the chairman in the spotlight this morning. On now.
Now, Finance Minister Colm Imbert in his budget presentation on Monday allocated just a little over $2.5 billion for Tobago. Joining us this morning is Ms. Diane Hadad, the chairman of the Tobago Chamber, who will tell us exactly the Chamber's thoughts on this allocation. Ms. Hadad, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Good morning to all of you, and good morning to your viewers.
Now, Ms. Hadad, initial thoughts coming out of the budget reading on Monday.
Well, I think the budget was a very uncaring budget. I know that under the circumstances, what the country has been through, and particularly the business community in many instances and their employees, the private sector that is, that would have taken a serious blow, not for 2 weeks or 2 months, but for 2 years. And I would have said since March 2020 that the effects of COVID would not have been quite seen completely during that period, but it would have been after, which is now. And how are we going to get through it? And the point is, I did not hear anywhere in that budget, we didn't get that there was a plan as to how we are going to recover the economic aspect of our lives. Mm-hmm. And so the support that was expected, the support that was delivered in other countries, a lot of it was compared to other countries, but we didn't understand what other countries do to ensure that their people live a particular standard of life. We just take out what we need and use it as examples. Uncaring would be the first word. And secondly, the Tobago aspect of it is clearly what the law states and nothing more. And therefore, that was very disappointing, and I'll share with you why. Because at the end of the day, it was not that Tobago never deserved the more before, but I think for once the articulation in terms of the presentation as to why it was needed and what were the issues, I thought that was well presented for once. It was really well presented. It kept our interest. And therefore, some sort of consideration should have been given. But we have seen where none of that took place, and it was more of the same. So I did not even have to listen. I could have just stilled my head and told you, okay, recurrent this, 300 million capital. I know it by heart, 18 million URP and 9.2 million CPEP. That's normal every year, and it always totals 4.03% of the national budget.
So then on the flip side, Ms. Hadad, what were you expecting? Because I saw in a recent interview, you said that there was a lack of mention of productivity, how exactly we can get Tobago to be productive. So what was missing? What more would you like to have seen when the budget was read?
All right, so we have a country that's in problems. Okay, let's be real. We have a country, and this is not Tobago. I can now say it's Trinidad and Tobago. We have a country that's in problems. We have people who are underdeveloped. We have people that have been put into a particular type of mental, I want to call it slavery, and they do not even know themselves how to come out. I experienced this in many, many areas of my life. And it's sad because you see parents not knowing how to parent children, and so the cycle is going to continue on and on. And the children who are more exposed do not know better, and so we find that they tend to want to head down the wrong road. So with all the care and love a parent may seem to want to give, they do not understand the formulas. So where are we? That's part of our human capital that is lost. And from that perspective, I'm saying, so cost of living is going up. We know what the pandemic has caused. We know that we are an unproductive country. We know that we just know about partying. We've created that culture and we need to reverse some of it. So physically and vibrationally, we have brought COVID has brought the country down a bit, a couple notches down. So the tone is different, and so it is the ideal time for us to use it to recapture our people in a different way. So is it that somebody could have sat and looked at a productivity index that says this is where we are and this is where we should be, and let's go and speak to the unions and say, listen, we can give you X to meet cost of living differences, but we need for people to participate in this by trading off, whether it's vacation leave that's over. I don't know how much more vacation we have in our country that doesn't produce. So to me, every day seems to be a vacation for many people. Can we trade off some of this? Can we trade off sick leave? Can we trade off casual days? Can we do something so that we get manpower back on the ground? Can we ensure that people come to work on time? Can we ensure that people come to work every day? Can we look at that type of discipline so that we can get productivity going? And so we would change the mathematics. If we are able to do that, then we are able, Natalie, to change the country. And once you start to change behavior, human behavior, and people start to see the benefits of their output and things are going well, then it's okay. But I am not hearing anything different. I'm not hearing minds that are creative. I'm not hearing minds that have ideas. In fact, I find everything sounds very idealess, if there is such a word.
Now, Miss Hadad, so in terms of, because I know that I was talking to somebody recently, and they were saying as it relates to wage negotiations, there's that back and forth in terms of 4% and 19% and that sort of thing. But maybe what can occur rather is that in addition to offering the 4%, maybe you can also offer some sort of incentives to kind of balance off that. And so do you agree that incentives might be a better way to offer? And I know we're talking about budget, but as you mentioned, the fact that you wanted the unions to get involved, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the wage negotiations. And if it is, we can combine the 4% with maybe some sort of advantages that the government can offer the public servants so that we can go about this economic recovery that you're talking about.
In light of the fact that I might be stabbing my own character in the foot, the public servants also have to recognize that they are citizens of the country. The private sector employees and employers have to recognize we are all part of this nation. It's each and every one of us represents 1 millionth of whatever this country experiences, good, bad, or indifferent. So it cannot be at this stage, let us trade off this for this. It has to be a different mindset come to the table. How are we going to get our country out of where we are? So I am not sitting down to tell you that I agree with incentives. Incentive for what? For you to get up and work? For you to get up and do what is necessary to ensure that your lifestyle can be maintained? Is it that we negotiated? We need to change the party culture that has been created. And I'm not going to leave the other aspect because everything is formed properly, is formed by a triangle. Right. So let us say, we cannot say that unions are not part of the problem and that they have not given their role serious, let's call it serious attention over the years, where they deliver excellent employees to employers. So that is part of their mandate. You can't just keep coming and saying, I want more. I will do this if you don't give me. No, we cannot negotiate like that. And that should have stopped a long time ago. But we didn't do it. And then here the other side of the coin. We have information on politicians and corruption and So everybody's on the table trying to save their own butt, while the nation is going to hell in a handbasket. Yeah.
Now, I also wanted to get your thoughts, Ms. Hadad, on the fare increase across the air bridge and sea bridge. A lot of people are questioning why now. I know you, for one, are saying, yes, we should have. But what is going to come with that increase in fare? Is it that we're going to see increased efficiency? Is it that we're going to be seeing more flights across the air bridge? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so let me say, I never said that I agree with it. Mm-hmm. When I was first interviewed immediately after the budget, my comment was, it's neither here nor there, and I'll tell you why. Yeah. It's neither here nor there because they were prompting for it for a very long time. And they would have strangulated possibly the air bridge since COVID, and the reopening of the air bridge by not giving us the flights, because they intended probably to get where they were going, which was an increased airfare. Okay, so my comment was, whatever, that was their intention. And I have to tell you that while I still speak, much a part of me is starting to go like this about Trinidad and Tobago, whatever, because it seems as though we seem to love where we are and we seem to keep putting the same crap in place. Now, let us be clear that the fare has gone up to $400, right?
Right.
I will never change my narrative. That air bridge and sea bridge is the highway to Trinidad for Tobagonians, right?
Right.
And there are many services that are not on this island and therefore is necessary for the Tobagonian to go to. So the only thing I can say to the Tobagonian is that our Tobagonian Prime Minister happily put you under more pressure. That's why I say the budget is uncaring.
No,
and I want to put, no, let me finish.
No,
I want to put on the table that there is a $50 fee penalty if you don't make your flight that you are booked for.
Right.
So technically, anytime you miss that flight that you are booked for, your fare is now $500. So let Trinidad and Tobago capture that. Because they didn't say that they're removing that $50 penalty.
Right.
So let Trinidad and Tobago capture that. Miss Hadad is coming to a point where she's whatever, because I'm not.
But Miss Hadad, that is a very kind of weird outlook to have. I mean, as the president of the chamber, what then do you say to?
I won't necessarily be there forever. It's not a job. It's voluntary. It's voted in. It's not my job.
But as the president of the chamber now, what can you tell businesses and even industries to, almost have a sort of positive outlook as we look towards economic recovery? I mean, is there a positive outlook to have?
Is there? No, the businesses, I think the people who run business have enough brain in their head. They know what it is. What is our problem? Is we all play political games. So it's party in power for some. It's party on one side for some. And we play games. A lot of us play games. We don't want to come out there and stand up and say what is right and what is wrong. We want somebody else to be the mouthpiece. So we happily call and complain or whatever, but we don't do what we need to do. And that cannot continue. The budget lacked any sort of substance. It lacks substance of how the financial sector is going to work with the business community and really get anything meaningful going on. The budget lacked anything to do with the Land License Act that we have been begging and pleading and negotiating on for years to remove the crap that was put in place in the first place. The budget lacked any sort of, here what the budget had in it. Social welfare, we're going to keep all here under social welfares. Okay, so be professional social welfarians. That's one. We're going to make sure that health have money, so all you can try and stay sick so we could get all your better.
What about education?
Well, education, but that is a failed entity in this country.
Why do you say that, Ms. Hadad?
I'm very involved in it, in case you did not know. But I won't take up Tobago's time about that this morning. You can call me back for that on a whole different conversation.
No, Ms. Hadad, we only have a few more minutes, but I wanted to ask quickly. I know that you're talking about the efficiency levels, the productivity and economic recovery. Now, I know that the minister would have mentioned that they're going to be building a new hotel, the Comfort Inn and Suites at Orange Hill, Tobago. Do you see this as being any sort of benefits?
You see, that's what I'm telling you. The Comfort Inn is already built. It's all news. The budget had a lot of things to fool you in terms of the Comfort Inn is completed. It's opened. Okay, so there's nothing new happening. They're boasting about what they did. But the Comfort Inn was going on for years before it got to opening this year. And it is not without difficulty. How busy they are, I don't know. I really wish them the best. I want to see whatever else has to happen. I want to see the marketing. I want to see the funding for us to do proper marketing for this island. We had the chief secretary speak about in the House corruption that they have unfolded in terms of contracts, and so why he was not paying contractors. So we have a lot of that have explanations as to probably where all the money went. And therefore the people of Tobago did not get value for their money, for their taxes. They didn't get their entitlement. I can't sit and tell you from our perspective, I love hearing all of that. I can't say that. There's too much going on that doesn't make sense.
And Ms. Hadad, quickly, in terms of Tobago's autonomy, do you think if Tobago had autonomy at this time, they may have been able to do things a bit differently now that they have their budget allocation?
Well, the autonomy bill is where the minister used the strategic answer for giving you 4.03. He said the opposition did not agree to give Tobago the autonomy bill, but the autonomy bill made by, orchestrated by this administration in Trinidad does not fit or suit Tobago's needs, and it was not what Tobago wanted. So the autonomy bill was to go nowhere. So we are playing the blame game on something that was not in its form that Tobago had requested. And so I'll tell you something about autonomy. Autonomy is also good depending on who has the autonomy in their hands. Because clearly, when we had autonomy by one administration in Trinidad and the same administration in Tobago, the outcome seems to have been a lot of money funneling through the THA and back to its cohorts also in Trinidad. So autonomy is not such a good thing depending on who has the autonomy.
And Ms. Hadad, finally, I just wanted to get your thoughts before we close on the Augustine and Duke situation that's playing out. How do you think this is going to play out, and by extension, is it going to affect Tobago in any way, shape or form?
I wish not to get in the middle of that brotherly, unbrotherly kankada. I would really prefer be left out of that. May God touch the two of them and recognize their roles that they will pick up and do what is best in the interests of the people that they have so come out and said, we will lead you to water. So there, I am definitely not going to comment on what I think should or should not happen, other than they must act responsibly for the people of Tobago's interests.
Nice. Well, Ms. Hadad, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on the Now Morning Show. And I wish Tobago all the best, especially as we look forward to Tobago Carnival that's taking place at the end of October. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And that was Miss Donna Hadad, Miss Diane Hadad, chairman of the Tobago Chamber, just telling us exactly how she feels. She did not mince words this morning, Trinidad and Tobago, about how she feels about that that $2.5 actually billion for the Tobago Chamber. My name is Kimberly D'Souza. We're going to take a quick break and be right back. Stay with us.